All right, on this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, excited to be talking to an individual set to compete at BYB 12 London Brawl, which transpires October 16th. The BYB Super Welterweight title and Police Gazette World Diamond Belt on the line. We have Jozette Cotton and Miranda Barber testing skills, and happy to be talking to Miranda on today's show. How's everything going? I imagine you're quite excited just with it being early on in fight week.
Man, it's fight week. We get ready for this week, and I think mentally we all start tuning in, and it's like we're excited, but our focus is kind of locking us down. So it's like I'm just ready. I'm really ready for this fight, and I'm excited to put on the show there in the UK.
Yeah, and I'm kind of curious where you've mostly been getting in the work training for this one, because I was kind of checking out the social media, and it seems like Mayweather Boxing and Fitness is one space, but also American Combat Gym. Like, where have you mostly been working for this camp?
So my private work, I've been kind of bouncing from different gyms because I have a coach that we train. We got sparring in different places. When it comes to boxing, you got to go specific with your work. And for this fight, I've had a good set of sparring partners. I've been putting in some good rounds on me, coming up in this fight. And it was a very short camp, honestly. It was only like a 4.5, 5-week camp, to prepare for this title fight. And, we're in there and we're sharpening our tools. Mayweather, I'm there for my road work. I work out of that gym. I'm a head coach out there. So it's nice to have access to the gym, for the road work and things like that. American Combat Gym, that is my home MMA gym. Right now, focusing on the striking part, I'm kind of with my private boxing coach, Michael Holbert. He's pretty well known, has a lot of fighters that actually compete out in the UK as well. So I met him through my my manager, Nick, out of All Fight Management. He kind of set me up with him, and we hit it off. And, when it comes to boxing, it is a very lonely sport. So it's not really about how many bodies I have around me. It's about the quality. And I believe we're preparing, nicely for this fight. And I'm really tuned in. I'm excited.
Yeah, it definitely comes across. Like, who are those main kind of sparring partners you've been getting in that, work with there, you just outlined?
I can't really put anybody on blast. That's kind of for my work purposes too. Like, even people ask, like, why don't you post like sparring and stuff like that? And people have like a really interesting opinion on that. Like, I don't think that, if you're in a camp, you shouldn't be posting your sparring. Maybe you keep it to yourself to learn for your own tools and things like that. But, I don't really even expose my sparring partners. It's their privacy too, so I don't expose anybody. But they're professionals, we're all grinding, helping each other to get better. And that's what we do in this sport, man. It's very few that think that way.
Yeah, it makes sense when you've outlined it in that kind of way, like a strategy-minded kind of consideration there, so I can get that. And it seems like that very much is like a strong attribute you have, like the fight IQ and everything like that, and the ability to be adaptable seems to be there as well. Like, even from just the couple fights you've had in bare knuckle, just like ability to like have that like hectic kind of infighting, but then also like do like a more range-minded kind of approach and kind of like field it out there. Like, how much of your, I guess, fight IQ and adaptability are like big variables in your game?
That is the main variable in my game. The physicality, we can always get stronger. An individual can always get faster, stronger, but what really makes champions is, to have the mental IQ and to use that in your camps to get better every time, you know what I mean? Not just go through the motions. And I think that this year, even along with my life, I've taken my career seriously. I've stayed very active this year. I've cut off a lot of distractions, and I've adapted my whole lifestyle to just really tune in for these moments. And doing so, it makes the moments more enjoyable. We're going through camp where, I'm getting in like 50 to 60 rounds a week, and that's a lot on the body, man. It's like, what are we doing this for? But it's that mentality that like, this is the hard part, bro. This is the storm. Fighting is going to be enjoyable. I'm going to enjoy London. I'm going to enjoy the fight. I'm going to be in the moment there, because I'm earning my work. I'm earning it. I'm putting in the work, and I'm really being dedicated, and it's going to pay off.
Yeah, and you mentioned a couple times being in London, and that has such like just a rich lineage within bare knuckle, and this being like a big one for, BYB specifically going over there. Like, what's the excitement level? Is this something you've been kind of like wanting for a while, in a sense, just like getting to go over to somewhere like London and really show what you got?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I love traveling in general, but to really get like fans outside of the country and show the world, like it's not just, I love Florida. My whole amateur career, I was out here a lot. And then turning pro, I got to travel to New York, LA, like a lot of places. And I was like, wow, like people really like, I can grow like so fast if I have like an outlet. So I think this is going to be a really good like platform for me, to build my fan base. And I love people, and I love putting on a show. That is a part of like why I fight, man. I'm an entertainer. I love to, to be a good face for the females in the sport. And I think that, the more people that see me fight, they're gonna be like addicted. They're gonna want to come to the fights. They're gonna want to watch the fights and be a part of the journey. And that's what I want to really do with my fans, is like anybody that knows me and has seen how far I've came, and they know that I'm in this for the long run, and I'm resilient to my success. And this is just a part of the game. You're supposed to always keep pushing yourselves, and I believe that's what I'm doing. And I can't wait to show everybody the improvements this whole year in London.
Yeah, and you mentioned like the resiliency and everything. It seems to have been there for a while, because I was like seeing a post you had there where you were saying you like moved out at 17 and you were going through college while also simultaneously pursuing a pro career in combat sports. When did you first start like really training in the martial arts, if that was when you started pursuing it professionally? Like when was the, I guess, beginning point of your martial arts journey?
Yeah, so I actually started boxing in high school. I don't know if you heard this story. I said it on a couple shows, but I was actually like, I was very passionate with basketball and stuff growing up. And in high school, my parents were actually going through a divorce at that time, and I started to like, always did good academically. Like I was a smart kid. I was never one of those kids that got bad grades or anything, but I was just a punk. Like I just did what I wanted. I didn't really, listen to anybody. Like Miranda's going to do what Miranda wants to do. And I remember going through like the divorce and stuff. It was a hard time for me as a kid, 13 to 17, like around that age, you kind of need that structure. So I didn't have it at the house. So I found myself in the gym. I was playing basketball and I got real aggressive one game ended up getting suspended. And my friend's daughter, she was on the same team as me, and he invited me to go to the boxing gym and take out some steam, since I was going to be sitting the bench for 3 games. So I ended up falling in love with the discipline of it, the outlet. It was therapeutic. I couldn't blame my teammates. It was very interpersonal with myself. It's like when I didn't have anybody to hear me as a kid, the gym heard me. The gym was always there, and my coach really was a very good, like, male figure in my life that, told me and made me believe in myself, like, hey, girl, like, you're strong. Like, you could really go far with boxing, and at that time, I started to watch Ronda Rousey because she had just came out, so the MMA started to interest me. That's why when I went down to FAU, I moved out early, and I was like, whatever, I'm going to get myself through school. And I found the Moncayo brothers in Fort Lauderdale, and I met Fred and Jay and started training jiu-jitsu, and that's how I earned my fancy name, She-Hulk. And then it took off from there, man. All my college, through those 4 years, I told myself I'm going to train, keep my head down and get through school and hopefully become a pro fighter by the end of it. And that's exactly what happened.
And you kind of briefly touched on it there, and as far as like the nickname kind of originating from, the Moncayo brothers BJJ Academy there and everything, like what was the, I guess, backstory for it? Like what was the distinct moment, who gave you the name, etc.?
Yeah, Master Jay and Fred really together, they're brothers, so they're pretty goofy together. And I come in, right out of college, right out of high school, looking to train because I had a boxing background. So I'm like, I want to transition to MMA. I think I can really succeed. Like I knew I was a bigger girl. I had to get in shape, and I had size to me. So growing up with 3 brothers and 1 sister, I was a toughie. So with these guys, like I knew a little bit of wrestling, and I remember just like ended up pinning some of these guys and like being really strong and being like, okay, coach, like what do I do now? And like my Master Jay would just be like, Jesus Christ, She-Hulk, like. And I was like, what did you say? And they ended up coming up with that name. And when they say it in like the Portuguese accent, they're all Brazilian, it's hilarious. So I never got called Miranda after that. Everybody in that gym just knew me as She-Hulk.
Oh, I love that. I mean, that must be a nickname you enjoy. It's definitely a cool fight nickname, because I feel like sometimes with the whole nickname culture, it's like sometimes like the nickname can maybe be like you're teasing the person almost, or something akin to that. But that seems like one of the cooler ones.
No, it's cool. It's because the people that know me as like an amateur too. Like we would have the casinos from XFM and stuff, man, just going She-Hulk, She-Hulk. I mean, that nickname is like that stuck with me. I couldn't even shake it because they know when I come there, I put on a show and I smash, no matter what it is, MMA, boxing. I'm ready for a fight. So it's pretty suited.
Yeah, and you mentioned it there, like you obviously have the experience in gloved boxing, and I was seeing you've got like a good bit of mixed martial arts experience too. Is the path going forward to, mostly like go the bare knuckle route? Are you looking to just like see whatever good opportunity pops up amidst those like few combat sports there? Like how does that look?
I mean, I'm a prize fighter. I definitely will say that with no hands, like with hands down. Like I gotta get fed, whoever's putting bread on the table, like I'm a dog. That's what even got me into bare knuckle in the first place. BYB, they take good care of me, so if they take good care of me, I'm staying. But if somebody offers me big bread, like I got to take care of myself. That's one thing in this sport, everybody's your friend until you're doing better than them. And you just got to remember to stay humble and like keep the right people around you and do good to the right people, because the sport can either eat you alive and if you get spit out, or you can build with a lot of people. And I think the business side and like is really big on my end for like Team Barber. That's why I made my own shirts, because I am a business. Like I have that mentality of like, I'm a smart kid. I got a degree and I chose to fight, but I'm going to choose this like a business. Like this is a business plan right now. All these fights I'm lining up, I got my business plan lined out. You know what I'm saying? And my grandfather always told me, plan your work, Miranda, and then work your plan. And everything that I said I was going to do since I was, in high school, bro, like, I said, I'm going to be a pro fighter. By the time I graduate college, my family was like, oh, okay. Now look at me. I'm fighting for the world title at 28 years old, like I'm making history. Like, don't tell me I'm not going to do something. Don't ever, like, you know what I mean? If I say something, I'm going to do it. That's just my mentality. And I believe that's where my resilience comes in. It's the dog in me. And these girls don't have this, bro. You're going to watch girls. You're going to become fans of females, bro, but they will never be me. You'll never find another Miranda K. Barber. And I'm going to make history. And people are going to remember my name.
So I imagine you see that obviously in like a broad strokes kind of way, but probably with this opponent specifically here too. Like you think that just like the drive in you, the dog you have in you, as it were, is going to be like one of the bigger variables here. Just like, is that kind of how you're looking at this fight with Jozette Cotton?
I don't think it's going to be, if she wants to make it a dog fight, it can be that way. But my game plan is like, I'm going to be the smarter fighter wherever the fight goes, and I'm going to be aware to adapt, to win this fight. And I believe in the hard work that I'm putting in physically and mentally, strategizing and mentally preparing for this fight, making sure my body and mind's good. Everything's got to be in tune. And that's a very dangerous Miranda. That's a very dangerous Miranda when we're healthy like that. So it's definitely going to be a fight.
And when you're preparing for these different fights, are you doing a fair bit of individual tape study on these opponents, or more focusing on your own refinement to be adaptable in the fight?
You'd be a fool not to try to look somebody up and see what they're working with. You know what I mean? You got to kind of have some type of structure to strategize, not necessarily to change your game up. You might have to adapt some things, but definitely want to keep some awareness just to be tuned in the fight. Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. So I think that's definitely a step in the process. When I get offered a fight, first thing I'm doing is going to look them up. You know what I mean? We'll look up their track record. So that's definitely a part of the process.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I'd be inclined to do that if I was preparing for something like that as well. And I guess I also asked too, because it seems like there's a certain level of similarity too, in as far as like the, experience in bare knuckle, gloved boxing, MMA, like both of you have fought for, PFL and stuff like that, undefeated in bare knuckle heading into this. So yeah, some similarities as it were, and yeah, looking like an exciting one.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting where the hands are going to go, and I think it's going to be a very strategic fight, to be honest. I'm excited for it to kind of challenge me and test me. Jozette has some experience, and I'm always ready to learn. I don't want handed fights. I want to earn my fights, and I think Jozette is going to put on a show, and I wish her a healthy camp, and I'm ready to just get this shit going in London, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, and you talked about like being a prize fighter and kind of like looking at it from like the business minded perspective too. But like, how much do you, I guess, look at the championship belt components as like some form of like a capstone achievement within this sport, just with the, BYB and Police Gazette titles being on the line? Is that like a major capstone kind of thing, like something you have on like your goals list, as it were, or is it more serving a purpose of just getting like kind of bigger purses down the line? How do you look at that part of it?
I mean, it's definitely climbing the ladder, per se, like in the business side of things, but also it is a very big accomplishment for me. My goal is to have a belt in boxing, MMA, and in bare knuckle. Like, I would love to have a belt in all three. I have a belt for XFN in my amateur career, and I plan to continue to do the same. I'm going to ride this bare knuckle wave and see where the opportunities lead. There's definitely more opportunity in boxing now rather than MMA as far as like getting fights like as active. So like I said, wherever the opportunities lie, I'm going to take them. I definitely want to get back in the cage. So I'm very hungry for the cage again. So I'm trying to lock something down for January. But I'll be with BYB, man, till we get it done. And I feel like I really got to go for this belt, this fight, man. This is going to be a huge opportunity for me to put myself on the map, and I believe I'm ready. I've stayed active all year. I've had very tough fights. So, another 7 rounds is going to be like that little end cap of the year, man, to really keep my winning streak going. That's the goal. Bring it home.
Yeah, and it's cool that the landscape is favorable for where you're at. Just like you said, having ambitions within 3 sports. So it really seems like a great time in your career. But as I was kind of talking about before, I do want to be mindful of your busy schedule and it being fight week and everything. So to that point, is there maybe anything you might want to add as a parting thought as we're kind of wrapping up, Miranda?
Yeah, nothing, man. Just shout out to BYB for looking out for the kid and getting the opportunity there for me to go to London. Thanks to my sponsors, Mayweather Boxing, they're always helping me out. I got the Print Only With Us, Bang for Bang, Kyle Kai, Iron Jaw, my manager over at All Fight Management, man, Team Barber. Like, we are behind the curtain and networking and really trying to put my brand out there, and not just as a fighter, but kind of like what I represent. And, through the gym, I got kids coming to me now, so I'm pushing the next generation to kind of keep this torch going. And my goal is just to become a legend, man. Miranda K. Barber, they're going to see me in London.
Yeah, well, I think winning a pair of championships in BYB would certainly serve that, effort and stuff like that. And yeah, cool to see the next chapter in the story unfurl there, and people can check that out October 16th. And yeah, looking forward to the fight against Jozette Cotton there. And thanks again for making the time. Just wanted to reiterate that. And yeah, just you have a good rest of your day too, Miranda. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you guys. We'll see you in London.
All right, on this episode of Bowks Talking Bouts, excited to be talking to an individual set to compete at BYB 12, and that goes down October 16th. It's for the BYB Super Welterweight and Police Gazette World Diamond Belt, and we have Miranda Barber and Jozette Cotton getting out there and testing skills, and great getting to welcome Jozette onto the show for the first time. How's it going there, Jozette? Are you excited with it being fight week and all?
I'm super excited.
Yeah, it's going to be quite the intriguing fight, and just getting to, go over to London and compete and everything like that. Is that kind of an exciting part of it for you? Just getting to, obviously vying for a title is very cool, but getting to travel a little bit might be a fun additional component.
Yes. My first time out of the country, so yes, blessed to be able to do that.
Yeah, and it seems like the momentum has been pretty strong lately. Like I saw recently, you got signed to a multi-fight deal with BYB Extreme, so it seems like a good fit between both parties there, so that's obviously good news and awesome to see there.
Yeah. Yep, super excited. I saw they had signed some other girls and stuff like that and other people, so it looks like they're building a good roster. So hopefully more fights and more girl fights and stuff like that to come with BYB.
Yeah, and it had been a little bit since you competed with BYB, so I would think that's kind of what you're touching on there, because I saw the last time you had a bare-knuckle bout was, July of last year there, 2021, and everything like that. But, you've been keeping busy since as well. Like, I saw you had an MMA fight and a couple pro boxing bouts as well, so it seems like an interesting combination of still being active, but also getting back to the bare-knuckle and everything.
Oh, yeah. Gotta stay busy. Gotta stay sharp.
but I'm kind of curious because I kind of outlined there that you've competed in a few different combat sports and still are concurrently in those combat sports nowadays. Does your camp differ at all between those sports? Like, does, I guess, preparing for a bare knuckle fight take on an altogether different framework than, say, preparing for MMA or pro boxing?
I would say, as far as MMA, of course. As far as boxing, not much. I think some people go about it a different way as far as like conditioning their hands and stuff like that. I necessarily don't. I prepare for it just like a boxing match, and because it's the same amount of rounds, the same amount of minutes in the rounds. So I kind of just prepare just like a boxing match, and like I would do anybody else, you know, look at my opponent, see what the things I need to polish up, the things she does well and the things she don't do well, the things that I can do to capitalize on it. So not much as far as MMA, you know, with all the different sports, you know, those added in things that I need to, you know, focus in on. So this one is more just, just the hand. So one technique is, you know, the only difference from, you know, doing it from boxing, but from MMA, but everything else is pretty much the same. You know, we got to make a weight, you know, prepare for that. Your diet and stuff like that is pretty much the same. But, you know, you just focus in on that, you know, that one thing. This camp, I actually kept doing my, you know, my kickboxing and stuff like that, and my jiu-jitsu, you know, just for keeping myself active and getting those extra sweats in and stuff like that. So those are well warranted for, you know, getting this weight down.
Yeah, and you kind of touched on it there. Like, I mean, not a huge cut per se, but a bit more of like a cut than you've had in some of your other fights, like just having competed previously at like 170 or 160. Is there a great deal of difference in terms of that? I know you mentioned the diet and everything like that, but is it like an altogether different camp? Like, is it a really like huge lifestyle kind of change or not so much?
Well, I would say not a huge change. Of course, when you're at the lighter weight, you don't have to take away as much. But I for the past 3 years, these last 2 years, I've been kind of cleaning up my whole diet and eating a lot healthier and more meals than I was previously. You know, for my fights because I was doing it wrong. You know, trying to like fast and make weight and do all these things instead of just feeling my body and feeling good and you know, and not being dehydrated. So I've really just been focusing on keeping my diet pretty much the same, and then just clean, and then, you know, when I have the fights coming out, just taking away the alcohol and those things that will keep the weight on me, you know, those things. But you know, those things you take out of any camp, but as far as like you know, maybe steaks or more carbs than I would if I had to fight at a 65 or a 70, you know, a 67 fight, you know. This fight, I kind of was like, I don't want any carbs, you know, except like, you know, my morning, you know, breakfast or something like that before 3. Then after that, I'm like, oh no, I don't want anything to stick to me after that. So it's all protein and greens. So, and that way, the past 2 years, I kind of been, it's not making it a camp thing, just making it a lifestyle that I want to be healthy all the way around and not have to worry about the weight, you know, cutting weight and just being a walk around athlete. Like, okay, we'll get the call tomorrow. We need to be somewhere within 10 to 15 pounds to where we can make it happen within a week.
Yeah, and that would be a, you know, huge difference even from, because it sounded like you were talking about doing that even within the last like year or so. So I would think that we might even see an altogether, you know, different version of you in a bare knuckle context. It sounds like you'd have like more like energy, more of a gas tank, etc.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you'll have to hear that for sure. And just, you know, briefly getting some insights into that initial debut effort. Like, what was it like getting out there and fighting Aaron Tohill and just getting the first foray into the Trigon under your belt? Like, it seemed like a pretty natural combat sport for you to be taking part in. Like, what were the overall takeaways from that initial effort in the Trigon?
I was very comfortable. Been there before, except it just wasn't a lot of people watching, as far as the bare knuckle side of it. And I guess just competing in it the way I would compete in like a regular fight with gloves on, and so I really was kicking myself. Like, Jozette, we don't have gloves on, and you just punching in here like we got them on. So but that third round, I was so mad at myself because my hands hurted so bad. Yeah. And I was like, Jozette, like, we gotta, I was just looking at my coach. I'm like, my hands are done. Like, they're done. I don't know what to do with these guys, and that was my take from it. So for this fight, I'm not going to play around with my hands. Like, there's no gloves on these hands. I'm not about to be trying to be cute out there and pretty, and I'm gonna still be Joe, but you're gonna see that I realize that I have no gloves on now. So I got to get in there and do what I got to do and get out, because I'm not trying to be 3 rounds in, 4 rounds in, 5 rounds in. Now I got a 7-round fight. Like, oh no, I'm not gonna put my knuckles through that. Not this fight.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, I can only imagine how much the hands would be hurting, like, just throwing them as if you have gloves on there. But yeah, you've been getting in work with some good people who I think would be acutely aware of how to, end things quickly inside the distance, just in the context of seeing you recently in a photo with Houston Alexander there in Omaha, Nebraska, and he's getting ready for a BKFC fight too. Like, it must be kind of a good thing, like that iron sharpens iron, just like both individuals getting in the good work alongside each other. Can you kind of speak to that experience training with Houston and everything like that?
Oh yeah, he's always just a good, spirit to be around and experience. Especially when you're getting around like fight camps and your energy is low, and Houston's always one of those people that lift you up, and you just like, just stop. Like, right now, not right now. I don't want to be up right now, because he just automatically, just contagiously lifts you up. Just looking at you, just, okay, Joe, we're gonna do this, and what I like about Houston, he knows, who you are and what you're about. And, he always tries to bring that out of you, and, show you what you're doing. And he don't take it light on me. So, should I say, and nor him, because he hits hard. So, of course, we in there learning from each other. But he's just one of those people that, he just gives, it's that knowledge, and he just passes it along. He loves to pass, along. You got those people that just love to just, hey, I know this, you should know this too. Man, Houston's one of those spirits that just, he just gets there and he's like, okay. And in the midst of doing that, he'll just stop mid fight and tell you some stuff. Like, Houston, we're sparring right now. It's not conversation time. But when he needs to say whatever he's going to say, Houston's going to he's going to interrupt everything he's doing to tell you and to give you some critique or to help you in some type of way. So he's very, he's a blessing to have in the camp and just around, everywhere. Because, in the MMA and everywhere, Houston just spreads itself to where, everybody can get, just how he's going to lean on you or how they're going to do that. He's always has some type of point to show you that you can take away from that, you might have thought you knew, and now you know a little bit better. So it's always good to have him, the good heavy hitters, and to let you know, and because I'm so, when I set out to be like, I want to be hit without ever being hit, and so that's my goal. But when I realized in bare knuckle, like, after my first fight of trying to be who I think that I wanted to be in this bare knuckle thing, and I was like, no, that's not my goal anymore. My goal is to get in there and get out and put these people out. I don't want this to be no decision. They didn't do this trigon to have Jozette in here looking pretty. I mean, I'm already look pretty, but I mean, we need you looking pretty and getting them out of there for my sake as well, and of course for her sake, because I mean, who wants to be getting punched on? 2 minutes, 7 rounds. I mean, I know I'm not, but I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of whatever I'm doing to an opponent. So, with that being said, I'm like, it's a blessing. It's a blessing to have, those OGs that's been there and done that and can show you, if you're willing to receive it, exactly, how they got to where they're going and where he's, currently at his age. And, it's a blessing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a wealth of experience, and like you perfectly said, they're still doing great things for sure. But it also seems like you get inspired by some people who are already cemented as BYB champions, specifically lightweight champion Patty Juarez. It seemed like you have a certain kinship with her, just being like beside her in the locker room when she was preparing for some of her earlier moments there. Like, how much does that kind of draw inspiration as you're kind of on your path to the title shot, just seeing like what Patty Juarez has been able to do?
What Patty is doing is already solidifying what my mind is already telling me, that I'm not going to stop fighting. When you see her doing what she's doing, and what a lot of people do is number things and age things and try to expire things, and that's not for everybody. Everybody's not ageable. Everybody's not sizable. You can't put an age and a limit on things, and Patty is one of those people. Houston, one of those people is ageless. When you got it and it's in you, nobody but you can tell you when it's time to stop doing what you do great. And just being there and just, I mean, her energy was good. Just everything about her, it made me want to, like, her output. I was like, come on, Jozette, you this 1-2. Patty out here, da 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 da. You know what I mean? Over here with them things. She's shooting, and I'm like, it's at her age. And I'm looking at it like, Jozette, we need to come on now. Patty is showing you what we need to do now. When we get there, we look like her and even more punches. So she is just inspiring all around, and just being, it's with BYD making her the first person to get the belt. It was a beautiful thing. Women all around the world, and just for me at all. I was just happy for what she's doing for women, period, around the world, and it was amazing to see her. And Knuckles, man, they banged that out like that was life. That fight right there was fight of the night. I don't care how many knockouts it was. Like that was like it. That was it. Like that alone, just watching them in her element, and then someone would be there, and to watch both ladies at their age and bite down on the mouthpiece like, I'm going to be the champion. Like that was awesomeness.
Yeah, for sure. Incredible fighters there, as you outlined in that fight, and yeah, Patty Juarez, a great person to interview, someone I've had the pleasure of getting to be able to speak to, rather. And yeah, I feel like this would be a good capstone moment in your specific bare knuckle efforts, because I saw you were the DCS lightweight and featherweight champion in MMA, so I think this would be a hugely exciting kind of thing for you, just getting a title in a different combat sport too.
Yes, sir. You own it.
But yeah, I do gotta, address your opponent here too, because she has had some impressive efforts in the Trigon, just as you've had, and everything like that. I'm curious, are you someone who is like avidly tape studying your opponents? Do you more allocate that to your coaches, and you're kind of focusing on your own individual effort to be more adaptable on fight night? Like, how do you, I guess, do the tape study end of things?
Yeah, because I watched her already, because I had to watch her, because when I fought Tika, she fought her. So I've already had a lot of tape on her already. And then when we was talking about the title fight, again, she was fighting Drilling, don't want to mess her name up. And so, yeah, so I watched their fight. So, yeah, I'm very aware of what she does. Looked at enough, seen enough. She's coming to fight. It's no Aaron Tuffield. It's no me and Aaron Tuffield, Jozette. It's not. She's coming to fight me, so I'm very excited. One thing about me is I'm a fighter. So when I get to stand in there with somebody that's, that may not be me, but has the same me. It's over there, and we're coming to impose ourselves on somebody and show somebody and let them feel us. Then that, I'm excited for that, because that what brings out the best of anybody, with being tested and somebody, pushing you. It's hard to fight by yourself. Like, it really sucks to be in the ring with somebody and being there by yourself. Like, that's annoying, but I know this one is going to be. I'm going to be not across from myself, of course, but I'm going to be across the cage from another dog. You know what I mean? And we're going to see who wanted more for this belt. You know, and I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, for sure. And as much as there's like obviously distinct factors both of you bring to the table as fighters, there's certain similarities that are kind of cool, just like the gloved boxing, bare knuckle MMA kind of experiences, both being undefeated within the Trigon and everything like that. So yeah, super evenly matched fight, at least on paper. I mean, in as far as like similar kind of career arcs. So yeah, do you kind of feel like a certain kinship with your opponents in that kind of sense though? Because ultimately, like you said, you're testing yourself against someone you see as a very formidable opponent, but it's ultimately helping you yourself kind of grow. Can you guys, I guess, speak to that kind of dynamic, that part of fighting?
Yeah, I mean, you hit it on the nail. Just the similarities, just what she's doing, I already know where her mind is at. You know, as far as women in combat sports, you get to a certain level that ain't nobody gonna fight you. And what she's doing is she's not setting herself up for failure or to be blocked out anywhere. So a fighter, which she is going to fight any fight. That's what a fighter does. It doesn't matter if it's Muay Thai, if it's kickboxing. A fighter will fight. It don't matter. If you're a fighter, you're a fighter. You know what I mean? I believe that. Some people are boxers. Some people are that. I'm not that. I will never call myself a boxer. I will never call myself an MMA fighter. I'm a fighter. I'm the fighter's fighter. I'm the people's champ. And when it comes to competition, those are the things, you know, and I'm a cold-hearted competitor since I was a little girl. Track, basketball, everything that I've ever did, I always wanted to be the best at that. So those things, you know, is, you know, I think that, you know, you can respect in a person that, you know, there's not a lot of me and Miranda Barbers out there. There's like some people that they stay in their lanes. Like, you know, that I don't want to be took down, so I don't want to do MMA instead of just learning how to not take down, learning how to sprawl, learning how to reverse. Like, their mind is like, I'm not going to do that because of this. Like, you know, I see that she is a fighter and she won't be knowed. And if it's a no now, you'll see me do something later. You'll see me do something where you told me no now, and then later you'll be calling me right back talking about what I wanted to discuss with you in the beginning. So, I mean, she's very admirable. I'm super excited to be fighting Miranda. Like, everything she has. I think we are one and the same. Shit, soul sisters.
Yeah, for sure. And then part of that kind of extends itself to both of you having cool nicknames for sure. I mean, I enjoy hers, but yours is definitely up there too. The number one head buster. What's the backstory on that? I'm always very curious as to like the origins of nicknames and whatnot.
Well, the number one head busters I stole. I made it plural. It is a group of girls that I grew up watching fight when I was a little girl, and I was like, oh, I'm going to grow up and I'm going to be like them when I grow up. And so when I started my fight career, I asked my big cousin that's a retired OG, like, hey, you know, y'all name was tight. You think your girls would mind if I take it and make myself the number one head buster? And they didn't, because they were called the number one head busters, plural S, all of them. And so they thought it was cool. And so I stuck with it. And I'm writing it out for my girls.
Oh, that's awesome. So there's like a bit of a lineage to it then, or some of the original head busters still following along with what you're doing and all?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I love that. That's so cool. I love the backstory on that. But I do want to be mindful of your time, too. I'm sure I could ask you a ton of questions, but it's fight week, and I do want to be, you know, respectful of that, too. So to that point, is there anything you might want to add as a parting thought as we're wrapping up, Jozette?
No, I appreciate you for, you know, taking some time out to get to know us, talk about, you know, the upcoming fight. And, you know, this is something that, you know, the fans, you know, they get and, you know, get to experience, you know, me through you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you coming on and everything. And, yeah, it's a great fight and very much excited getting ready to see you fight Miranda Barber and everything. And yeah, people can check that out at BYB 12 on October 16th. And just to reiterate, thanks so much for coming on the show, and you have a good rest of your day too, Jozette.
Thank you. Have a good day.